Hey, how's it going? It's Grant with the Garden of Eater, and today we are going to be talking about catching up what we've done this past week. Shelby is taking care of Layla. She got a little bit upset stomach after dinner. I'm not seeing any comments at all. I know Shelby just set up the live stream, so maybe somebody else can drop a comment. And there we go. Thank you, Dave. All right, so everything's working. Um, Shelby's just running to the store real quick. Gonna get Layla some apples, help her settle her stomach, and make her feel better. But basically, last week we were coming home from our trip in Colorado. The connection wasn't the best. Myra, who is behaving right next to me, um, she was quite hungry at that time. We thought maybe she'd sleep all the way through the live stream and we get lucky, but she woke up when she wanted to wake up and was quite hungry. So I believe I was in the middle of talking about Greg Sage's house. Greg Sage came and did a talk for our club, I think back in August. And I really agreed with a lot of the things and a lot of his methods in his talk. And I was, uh, in the area where he lives, and I kind of reached out to him last minute, and he was more than okay to accompany us and let us see his operation. He gave me like some times on Friday and Saturday, and I was like, well, I also have Monday, and he's like, well, Monday's my water change schedule, so you'd have to wait until this time. And I was like, actually, I wanted to see your water change system in effect, so that way I could kind of learn from it, see if I couldn't apply some things to my own system moving forward. Um, so there's definitely a learning curve there at first with this system, but I was able to figure it out and get the gist of it by the end of it. But um, definitely not something I want to do in the house. Maybe in a few years, we do a warehouse. I'll have the back half of my aquariums all PVC'd up so that way we could do some easy water changes. But for now, I like the look of the house. It feels nice and homey. But thank you everybody for saying hello in chat. Dr. Anthony. Sadly, it doesn't look like we'll be able to make it to Fishtoberfest, but we got to make sure that you're still available to speak for our club in May. So just double checking there. And if so, can you send me a handsome mugshot if you still have one? Short bio and the name of the talk that you're going to be doing. That would be much appreciated. How's it going, Robert Downey Jr., Jeff Kane, um, and Robert? I'm not sure if we're gonna see or not. I know you're in the Florida area, but I'm not sure how far away from Coral Springs you are. But there is Aquapalooza uh, down there in South Florida. I believe it's the 3rd and 4th of April or the 4th and 5th of April. I'm not sure. I think it's the first weekend, though, for sure. It's been quite a busy week. We've had Dan's Fish come up to the club. I'm not done speaking about Greg's house, though. I'm not sure last week or not, but in the beginning, I talked about like a massive plant, the one that impressed me the most at the show. And I said it actually wasn't at the show. It was a bulbitis, and it was at Greg's house. And he had what I think is either a 55-gallon or a 75-gallon tank. It doesn't matter. But two bulbitis pretty much covered the entire span of the 55-gallon tanks. They were the nicest, largest bulbitis I've ever seen. Stephen P. might have the largest crypts and the largest boosts. Greg Sage has the largest bulbitis, and that's one of my favorite plants too. So um, he had it in a lot of its tanks, pretty much just floating too. And I didn't think a bulbitis would be all right, just kind of chilling like that. And the boost, the bulbitis, or I'm sorry, the boost and the Anubis, they both do it. So why wouldn't the bulbitis be able to do it as well? So I'm gonna have some more tanks with just hunks of bulbitis chilling and not worry about planting it so much, I think. So, and today is, anything you guys got to talk about question wise, anything like that. I do got a nice list. I did come prepared as last minute as all of this was thrown together. I have been for the last hour taking notes of what we've done this last week and a few topics in the future. Johnny Best, new member. Oh, I'm pretty sure you're just renewing again. Thank you, thank you. How's it going, Crypt Keeper? I got home from dropping Dan's fish off, and I was like, I'm definitely going to be able to get your box off. And then you mentioned that you wanted plants, and then Shelby ran out of shipping material. Had to go to the store, get shipping tape and newspaper to stuff all the boxes. And I'll get your box out tomorrow, and I'll ship it overnight. How's it going, J Dubs? And how's it going, Benny Tay? Another person that I need to catch up with this week. We got to plan out your trip in August. I'm pretty sure the club is wide open, but you're definitely more than welcome to come by the house and try to get my butt into gear and get everything primed for you. But that's still months away. And it's close to you. You'll be there. Glad to hear. Me and Shelby will be setting up like 8 little shrimp, not demonstrations, displays. Thank you, Grant. Yeah, she kicked me. She kicked the sense right into me. Thank you, Myra, is what I should say. So good evening, everybody. I'm gonna have to grow some big bulbitis now. Oh yes, the challenge. I've got some big bulbitis, and then it gets a little bit of algae on it, and I kill it back. So, it's had a little algae on it. I got to be honest with you. So, the biggest, healthiest bulbitis though still matters. I want it to be clean, no algae. Grant just bought some bulbitis from Petco. Just be careful if it came from the tanks. Just make sure you treat it before you put it into any shrimp tanks. But it's one of my favorite shrimp plants, for sure. I don't think there's going to be any international shrimp contest this year. There's a possibility that one might form, I would guess, but I think that's a question for Therese, and I just don't really keep in touch with her like that. So if you want, just in case, and can you grab me a water first, please? And thank you. Shelby's here. Oh, she's gone. She's there. She's right there. That's her. August, yes, that is great. That's the month that you told me. So if you were planning on coming to the States in a different month, then just let me know and we'll figure that out. The back half of the year is still open for me for the club wise. What do you use to treat plants before getting them into tanks? I have used rice vinegar and citric acid. I like to use no planaria. It's just worked for me very well in the past, where it's killed off just about everything but snail eggs. And if I know there's scuds in it, I can do a large dose and kind of let it sit for a couple days. I haven't tried rice vinegar and citric acid exactly. I've tried quite a few things like alum, the bleach dip, hydrogen peroxide, and a different plant dip and a coral dip as well. And I just find that the no planaria just kind of doesn't wear and tear on the plants as much and still gets the job done. So, thank you. I'm very thirsty today. Dan had me out there catching fish. So she almost made that go all over me. I was just barely able to catch that. So no planaria, just heavy dose. I just basically put enough water in to cover up all the plants, and then I put a scoop or two depending on how many plants there is. If there's scuds, I'll do 3 or 4 scoops, and just the scoops that come in the little bag of no planaria. There's actually some good comments tonight. The bulbitis is in the plastic tube with the gel immersed grown. Oh, so then yeah, it'll be clean. In my experience, the ones in the tubes, I haven't done very well with those. So hopefully you have better luck. But I've always done like swords and crypts. I've never gotten a bulbitis. Rice vinegar is a very Asian way, I guess, since we get them in big glass bottles. It kills planaria, but doesn't kill snails. So we don't. So if we don't want snails, I think the no planaria will help. But it doesn't kill the larger snails in my experience, and it doesn't kill off the eggs. It just kind of wipes out the juveniles that are straggling for food, I feel. All right, so Shelby got some Gadaids, and I thought they were trout Gadaids. I think they're the tequilas. I might be wrong. Shelby, what kind of Gadaids are they? Tequilas. So I don't know why. I thought she was getting the trouts. She got the tequilas, which I'm happy about because on the way home from Greg's, when we picked up Jaden from Lucas's house, Lucas had just installed a 125-gallon tank for his trout Gadaids. He's got a pond outside, and I just didn't realize he had the trout Gadaids going like that. And I was like, yeah, that's not something I want to get or have Shelby going if you've already got these cracked and he's about to release them to the market. So if you want some trout Gadaids, hit up Lucas Brett's. And then I saw Jay Oliver. How's it going? He just got an incredible shipment of guppies in. Man, you're probably more exhausted than I am, to be completely honest. Shelby doesn't want to hear it. She packed up shrimp and boxes today while I went out with Dan and collected, and it's just been UFC fights and Myra keeping us up at night, and then having to wake up early to go get Dan and travel around Florida, explore some fish rooms. I'm going to talk more about that also. Check out reverse respiration online for great plant treatment, safe and effective. If that's just like gassing it out with CO2, you have to have CO2 for that. And there's no CO2 in our house. I guess I can make some homemade CO2, but I don't think that's going to be enough to gas off everything. And then want more of Grant and Shelby? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I got to read more of the question. My bulbitis from Petco hasn't grown, but it was making baby plants that are starting well. Yeah, so generally speaking, from the tissue cultures or a lot of the immersed plants that we get from the nurseries, the bulbitis, the Java ferns, they especially kind of like the adult leaves will kind of melt off, but the baby leaves will grow, and you'll get a bunch of extra little plantlets out of it. With ADA version 1 gone, what other soil are you all using? I'm using Brightwell. We just set up Shelby's whole shrimp room with Brightwell substrates. I'm going to be doing a video here soon on the importance of aqua soil. And don't quote me on soon, because I've said I'm going to do so many videos soon. The last one I was like, I'm going to get it out soon was that I actually got out was the tank rack stand build, and it took me months. So it's on the to-do list, but the importance of aqua soil, why we use it, what one we use, and why it's our gold standard pretty much. And that's the Brightwell. The Oscuro for sure is my all-time favorite. I missed the live stream you did with Dan and Lucas because I was in the middle of unbagging everything. Yeah, darn. That was a fun little live stream. I believe Eric Wyrock asked me a shrimp question, and I was like, how did I get a question before the two of them? And then I realized it was Eric Wyrock, and I was like, that's why. Just dip the plants in club soda. Oh, yeah. Um, I guess that works too. Just an FYI, the Vanilla family loves you too. Well, we love you guys also. Steven, don't they add minerals or something to club soda? I think seltzer is just water and CO2. Oh, all right. There you go. Steven said my bad. So, all right. Let me go back to the notes real quick. I'm not sure if I mentioned the Odessa barbs. We got those also from Greg. Those have colored up nicely. I just fed him a fat batch of baby brine shrimp today. But I think the most impressive thing, the take, besides the bulbitis, that might have been the most impressive thing, but was his water change system, how easy it was, how fast and efficient it was. So he definitely does a lot more tanks than me, a lot quicker. He doesn't really have to scrape the tanks that much because like how much water he's changing. The algae's really kept down, and I think the amount of fish and the bioload that he was able to keep in his tanks were quite impressive. I also found out that Dan was north of Denver and was going to drive his way, but he was 7 hours. So I was like, that is too far. And he didn't have snow either. So, what was the most commonly causes? What most commonly causes buried shrimp, but no babies ever to show up? Friend having some issues. I don't. Oh man, this is the worst time for like alerts to pop up on the computer. I'm sorry. Babies ever showing up. Friends having some issues. I don't think food or cage GH is an issue, but I can't figure out what it is. So I kind of need to know what kind of shrimp they are. There's like a person in our club recently who was having the same issue with crystal shrimp, but he told me in the first sentence that he had done nothing special for the shrimp. He set it up like his normal fish tanks, and I go, well, you probably didn't use aqua soil, RO water, and GH only minerals. So if you have Caridina shrimp and you don't use those three things, then it's definitely an issue with KH. If you don't have enough GH in the water for neocardinas, then they're not going to be able to hatch. They're not going to be able to molt. Sometimes the shrimp are so tiny for people to find and be able to see. And if you don't know what you're looking for, then they might die before you ever even see them. So you definitely got to have the right GH and KH. Food, though, food's one of those things where lately I've been using a lot less food. The shrimp seem to be doing really well still. We're not having really any issues, but I do think they breed more the more you feed them, the quicker they grow. But they would still be having babies. The babies would still be growing up. If there's lights on the tank, then there's biofilm growing. I'm so lucky. Shelby brought me that water. Grant, I just restarted my 10-gallon tank for only shrimps. Thanks, Stevens, Crypt Keeper, Stephen P. Crypt Keeper. Just learned something new. Well, glad to hear you're restarting and just doing a shrimp-only tank. That is going to help you out. They told me GH about 120, KH about 80. So I can't remember what that equals out to like the droppers, but they're probably using test strips, and test strips are not usually the best way to test that out. But they're just neocaridina, so that's probably going to be good enough. How often are they doing water changes? Because if they're not doing enough water changes, then they could also not have everything that they need to perfectly molt and succeed and grow. And The females could even be having eggs and then kind of getting stressed out and absorb the eggs before they even hatch. Is there a condition that causes all the females to die off? I think I only have males left in one tank. So females are generally the first ones to die. They get stressed out a lot easier. They can be stressed out by the males. If you have more males than you do have females, and one female gets pregnant or like ready to get pregnant first, then all the males stress her out, kill her off, and then the next one, until you have nothing but males left over. So it is always imperative to cull off your males. I keep generally the best 3 males in my colonies. The outdoor ponds, that might be a little bit different, but in some cases it's not. And it was really hard for me to find the males for my competition tanks. So, Grant, I converted it for you. It's 7 GH and 4.5 kH, which is good. So now I'm just kind of curious on the water changes because everything else should be fine. And the other thing is, like, is there any fish in the tank at all? Because if there is, they're probably snacking on the shrimp. And that reminds me, Grant, I've had the Stardust going strong in my CO2 injected 7-gallon with 7 DKH. I'm getting ready to convert it to 1 DKH tank. How slow should I go in that reduction? If you haven't lost any, go as fast as you would go with your fish, and don't worry about the shrimp. I think they're super tolerable, and I've taken them from the crawfish tanks and put them back into 0 kH tanks in just an hour drip. So I wouldn't worry about it if you're doing it on the entire tank. And I don't know if Shelby is listening, but I will let her know that somebody thanked her for the shipping confirmation. And if anybody doesn't know, Shelby handles all of the shipping, all of the orders pretty much, and taking care of everything online. If there is a shrimp question, genetics question, or something like that, she will inform me that there's something for me to go and handle. But almost 99% of the online part of the business is now being taken care of by Shelby. I know I need to get my butt into gear and do some more social media once again. I've just been kind of enjoying the baby, relaxing, but I think it's show season. I need to start getting into gear and making the most out of the rest of this year. I've taken enough off. Thank you for the insight. I'll ask about the water change. I didn't realize they could reabsorb the eggs. Yeah, they could also drop them and then eat them real quick. And the other thing is, too, if they're first-time moms, a lot of times that will just be the case where they'll drop the first batch of eggs. They're not able to have that experience to keep everything in the swimmerettes and hold on to them. Hello from Michigan. Hello from Florida, Mark. I need to figure out my Michigan travels later on in the year. There's a lot of people that I am like. There's too many things that I committed to last year that just haven't been set in stone yet. One of those things is Aquashella. We are figuring out now all the sponsorships and everything for that. If you'd like to sponsor the American Shrimp Contest, if you'd like to sponsor the American Shrimp Contest, please reach out to us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com. We're probably going to be looking for 8 to 10 sponsors to help us carry the show throughout the year. We're looking for like shrimp food vendors, aquarium accessories, and stuff like that. So the doors are wide open this year. Where's the wonderful Shelby? She ran to the store to get Layla some apples. I'm also losing shrimp in my sand substrate tank. What could be the problem? So I honestly need, if I'm going to help you guys down to a T and be able to give you guys the exact insight you need, I'm going to need the parameters. Ideally, I want total dissolved solids, GHKH. I'm not too worried about temperatures, but I am concerned about pH. And then a lot of issues I'll ask you, is the pH stable? Have you tested it in the morning? Have you tested it at night? And then the next thing I'm going to ask you is, how often do you do your water changes, and at what percentage? So those things are going to be basically ideal for me to answer your questions to the best of my knowledge. Have you tried keeping the isopods and pond outside to see how they do? I'm debating on trying it to see what not happens. This is the year. I didn't do it last year. For the last, I don't know how long we've had them, but it seems like we're just barely ever holding them in stock and keeping them to the point where they're not taking us too long to catch. Because once their numbers die down and they don't come out to the food, and you're trying to like pick them out of the substrate, it's just not worth trying to catch those in our day. So we got to go ahead and numbers up. We've got them in a bunch of tanks now, and it's just a matter of time till it warms up outside, and I'll throw a bunch of them, especially in like the ocean blue ponds and the newer ponds that I just set up in the greenhouse that don't have any substrate. I want to see how they do in there with a bare bottom tank. And I'm excited to put the rabbit snails back out there, because this is like the cleanest the ponds have been all year round. There is one pond that doesn't have a sponge filter in it. And then the ocean blue pond is quite green, but it's just green water. I think I found a source through Greg Sage. Greg Sage has some Russian Daphnia, and his water's probably pretty clean and pest free up there. And I'm gonna wait for those, and then throw some of that into the green water tubs that we have going. And I didn't know that they could overwinter like that, so that's ideal. Set up a bunch of tubs, as many as I can, and use up that green water at first to get the colony booming, and feed it a bunch of yeast and get it going just the way he does it. So, but yeah, no, I want to see how they do out in the summertime. I'm not sure how they do in really hot temperatures. I'm not sure how they do in really cold temperatures. I just know they do great in tap water. And I've got them going just fine in a couple Caridina tanks now too. So I'm not sure why they didn't do good in the first starter tank that I tried out, but they're doing just fine. Even with the pygmy cory cats, which Dan was pretty amazed that they were. The isopod was right in front of the mouth of the cory, and the cory was just not interested. I lost most of my red neo colony. My pH dropped down to 5.3, and the duckweed got overgrown, covering the whole tank. Not sure what caused the pH drop. Was surprised because it was steady at 6.5. So 6.5 is kind of low, especially for a red neo Caridina tank. So I'm curious, like what kind of water you're using and what kind of substrate you're using to get that kind of pH, and then I could probably tell you why it dropped if you tell me how often you do your water changes. But I need those other stats first. Sorry, this is for Crip. What was name brand bacteria starter works best for Neocaridina water parameters? It is the Brightwell. Oh man, I just had it at the tip of my tongue. Florinbacter 7. Sorry. There's a shrimp version for it too. How stable are the koi calico neos? Not stable at all. There's a reason why they're not all over the United States yet. I don't think anybody's even gotten the home breed because they don't produce many babies with the red markings at all. I might be wrong though. I'm not really on social media right now. And even when I wasn't paying attention to what other shrimp keepers are really doing. Somebody will like shrimp Chris Lukop. we'll post, and I'll see some of his stuff. But I'm not really in the shrimp groups like I was. Dan does this thing where he'll kind of check out the competition every once in a while, see what they got in stock, and kind of compare prices and stuff like that. And I don't even do that. Kind of just set the price of the shrimp to what I think they're worth and sell them that way. We must bring better info for Grant lesson learned. Yeah, I just need a little bit more stats so that way I can exactly help you guys and not just say, well, you should try this. Get back to me next time, because that might just be a big waste of time for a whole week. I know a few people keeping them in ponds in places like New York. They can stay outside year long, has been the experience so far. From my testing for shipping purposes, they are good. I haven't heard of anybody keeping them outside. I've heard of the ones that look like water louse being outside all year round. I'm not sure if they're the same ones as mine. And funny enough, there is actually a aquatic isopod that I've never seen before at our club auction, and I'll talk more about that later also. What is the best blue? What is the blue water additive you have on the website, and what is it used for? Man, I hate this. Question, just because I don't know the product to the best of my knowledge, and it's not something I use. Plamsty was kind of getting out of the hobby, and I had a bunch of people ask me if I was going to bring these products in. So for them, I brought it in. Plamsky has, and I don't know the names of it. So he's got two liquid products. One of them is a GH mineral, and one of them is like a something to help the shell quality look even better. And I believe that is the blue water additive, but I'm not 100% sure. That product was more because I had customers asking me for it, and Plamsy's kind of getting out of it. But once that blue water is gone, I don't think I'll be restocking it. I believe they are North American species, possibly Lyricurus. Probably still butchered that. Based on the last microscope photos I got, they can sometimes do poorly in transitioning, prone distress, it seems. So I'm going to take a picture of that and look that up later. But the isopods that we have on the website definitely have a different scientific name than that we were able to find the closest possible. So maybe you've got the proper one, but I've always been transparent that we got them from a shrimp breeder, and he doesn't even know where he got them from, and he's no longer in the hobby. I think he said he got them from like eBay, and the seller doesn't have them anymore. So the isopods are awesome, and were a hit at my table at the Atlanta swap meet. I figured they'd do well outside, maybe with some leaf litter. Yeah, they. I mean, every show we bring like one more bag, and they keep selling out. So I wouldn't say every show, but all the big shows we keep. We should bring another bag this time, and then we bring the same amount to the little shows, and they still sell out. All right. I hope you're not trying to catch them with a net, but yeah, it takes forever. Absolutely trying to catch them with a net. What are you catching them with? Because I guarantee you my method with a net is faster than whatever you're doing. These are people specifically keeping the same pods as you, by the way. Okay. I'll have to check that out. That is right. We want to deliver good information after rigorous testing and not keep switching methods every week. It doesn't help people, in my opinion. And that's kind of why I didn't use any of Plamsky's product. I used it on the tanks that I got from him for a while, until it just became too much work. And I was like, I got to switch him over to my own method. It's just not worth the output that I was getting. And I switched them over, and they pretty much all did good except for the Calcios. Like, I don't think Calcios really like my methods that much. I even kept them at a higher TDS, and I don't know, maybe it's the salty shrimp, but I think that's also what the Bloomfields. No, they use the. I guess salty shrimp is originally made by a guy, and then he jumped companies to salty B. And what do you use, Benny? I'm curious. I have a group chat with a bunch of freshwater isopod keepers, amateur experts. So I have a few random tidbits like this. Yeah. So I don't talk to anybody that has other isopods other than us. So that'd be really cool if you had some information about them that we didn't have. Feel free to send us some links and pictures to the email, thegardenofeater@gmail.com. If you have any like resources on them, or even like where to get different varieties from, because I'm always looking. I'm stuck between orange, yellow, or red neos. I think I watched your video earlier on colors, but what is the brightest, most opaque of the orange and yellows? So here's the thing. Nobody really has focused on orange neocardinas here in the United States. I think Jess had some really nice ones at one point, and no longer has those. And it's just the yellows are much more dominant, especially if you're buying shrimp from us. Our yellows are the nicest shrimp that we have going in the neocardina side, besides the ocean blues. They're very, very solid in color. They're more vibrant. Where the oranges, first off, we don't have oranges available on the website. But in our experience, when we would go out and buy oranges, you'd buy 20 of them, and maybe 3 to 6 of them would look good. The rest of them would barely have any orange color from them. And yeah, they're not really a good reseller either. So hi, welcome. And oh man, I totally butchered that. Congratulations on the new home. I'm not going to try either of those two. Are the two main North American species. So far, every isopod I've ever found being sold leans Lyris based on head shape and claws, but it's hard. But it's still hard. Smart people have been helping me. I'm clearly not smart by the way I can read. Better with numbers. So took a picture. We got some isopod scientific names to research. Guess who's back? All right. Well, I guess she never really joined the stream in the first place. She was kind of just chilling next to me. All right. And I didn't know if I didn't know the ones that I had were native to North America. So I had no clue where they exactly came from. Is there a way to set a trap for isopods to catch them overnight? I use a turkey baster. Yeah, I mean, I guess a turkey baster would be okay, but I'm pretty slow at catching things, so the net probably is faster than me. So what we do is we drop a piece of food, and it like it's so easy, Crip, that you're not going to want to set a trap. So we just feed them. We set a piece of food, all the isopods come out to the food, and then we take the net, and then we twirl the net, and you just make a current that creates like a little tornado, and all the isopods are built like parachutes, so they just get kind of sucked up and lifted up and go into the water column, and then you reverse the tornado and you catch more isopods than what you want for your sale. I guarantee it. Hey, Night Owl. I didn't even see Night Owl in the chat. How you doing, man? How's it going? Jesse, you sent me a video. I've yet to watch it. Dan's Fish was here, and it's just been so easy. Yeah. So busy. For Calcios, I realized that after 2 tank crash, it was brutal. But yeah, they do not like low pH. Anything above 6 is good. I was using ADA, and it doesn't do well at all. Now with them in Fluval. So they're unplug the mic, little one. They were not in, like, they're in really old tanks. They weren't in fresh tanks. I mean, not really old, but they were certainly not under 6 pH. But I have them in some older tanks that are doing really well. I just kind of oversold them recently. But the ones I have had going, I oversold. And just recently got them like really going well this year. But the ones I got from Plamsky didn't do well. It just takes them so long, like a generation or two, before they finally get breeding and moving in my aquariums. Oh, that's a research rabbit collection I've made of 100-ish papers on freshwater isopod. I don't know what that was, or what you're referring to, or maybe you emailed me something. So, how far behind in chat am I? Not that bad. 3 minutes. If I cycle my new setup by squeezing old sponge filter media in new aquarium to water setup, would it be okay to add neo shrimp? I don't like that. I would much rather let the tank run for 30 days to get the biofilm built up. I'm more worried about biofilm than I am the actual cycle in the filtration. You definitely don't want to use a filter from an aquarium that has any issues at all. Algae, planaria, hydra, anything that could be like a bacterial infection or anything like that. So generally speaking, I don't ever squeeze any filters from any tanks, especially like the older tanks that are like well seasoned. Chances are there's like a little tiny piece of blackbeard algae in there somewhere, right? And then you just kind of like fast track blackbeard algae in the new tank, if you ask me. Like that's what I think is like one of the downsides to the mukbang. I can't remember what it's called anymore.
Where you season like start to cycle the tank with them.
Yeah.
Filter, yeah.
I'm not a fan.
I mean, it's good for some people if they know like their own water parameters. Like it'd be fine if we knew our tank was good and put it in another one, but you need to know where it's coming from.
But thank you for the $2 super chat, and thank you again for the for the gifted sub. I am a mess.
I heard.
I'm fumbling.
I know. It sounds like you're struggling.
Were you listening?
A little bit, yes.
You heard somebody gave you a thank you for sending them the tracking and getting it out.
Good.
So you did get a thank you.
Okay, good.
I can't remember who it was.
Good. Everyone today got a little tiny gift in their box too for waiting. So hopefully that makes up for the wait. And sorry for the thing, but thank you so much, Johnny Best.
And whoever got that gifted sub, send us an email at thegardenofeater@gmail.com. We'll hook you up with a sticker and a 10% off code to our website, tgoeshrimp.com. Thank you, Johnny.
Sid da Dude. Is that how you say it? It looks so cool. It sounds like Sid da Dude, like from the Ice Age, like Sid's that dude, you know? Is there any Caridina or Caridina crosses that are forgiving water parameter wise?
Tiger shrimp. Tiger shrimp are for sure the better ones. There's some Tang Thai that are heavier on the Tangerine Tiger influence that are all right in the higher or lower pH range. There's also yellow King Kongs, and then just Stardust, raccoons, orange eye blue tigers, tangerines, supers, reds. There's quite a few tigers out there that would do really well and are forgiving. Look really cool. You can mix them with your Neocaridina, and they can't crossbreed.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for saying hi. In my tank said the tank ties I bought at the Clash have been doing really well. Don't think I lost any yet. Awesome.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. They are quite hardy and resilient.
Eric says, "Want more Grant and Shelby? Check out all their links
I already
here.
read
Thank
that
you
earlier.
so much."
This is
Oh,
yeah.
did you say thank you?
I did. I didn't.
In my
didn't.
tank
I'm
says,
sorry,
unless my beta Alba Marie Margarita. I've never heard of that one, so I don't know how to say that one. 8-1. 8-1 what? Isopods? What are they
No,
talking
the
about?
tank tie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on,
I'm
stick with
surprised
it.
there's
You
a
were
beta
here
and
for
it
that.
hasn't
Normally,
ate 'em all.
I'm doing that.
I would thought it was maybe there was something else they were talking about. Trying to sort through them. There's different colors that pop up. Mostly been some yellow/black with bluish and different weak levels of red. That's so cool. That's a fun thing about tank tie. They just come up with so many different colors. Like our tank tie, Grant's tank tie tank that I think I feel like that's the longest one you've been working on is that red one down there. It's mainly red now.
It's the oldest coal tank, but it has the most genetic diversity in it. I think I've said it over and over again, and this is the proof. I liked how Dan, we'll talk more about Dan later, but Dan in his talk stood up and was like, all right, I'm going to prove that my method works. How many people here have bought fish from me? And those people raised their hand and it's like, stand up. And not everybody stood up. All right.
Stood up and sat
but
back
the
down.
ones that stood up
you.
were definitely like, listen, if anybody had issues, they would have still stayed standing. Like that was their time to like say, haha, you killed mine. and all the people, I think there was 69 plus fish because some people are like, I don't know how many. And Dan was just like, well, that's 100% right there. I don't need to count you in. And there's like a total of 69 fish that all made it, all alive. And the proof was in the pudding right there. But here's another way of the proof is in the pudding. They got yellow, black, bluish, all different levels of red. You, of course, get oranges and blacks and everything else out of the tank tie. So if you want a real easy shrimp that's going to give you a lot of color, a lot of pattern, get your tank ties.
Get your tank ties here. Get your tank ties.
Get
your tank ties. We're going to go to the Clash, and I'm going to get that rolling cart. I have this whole grand idea for a new booth, okay? It is going to be awesome if we ever did it. But now we have to add a rolling cart of shrimp in bags. And get your shrimp here. Get your shrimp here.
With the idea, with the ladle and the soup thing?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but like, I don't want to do that. But like, it was like that, you know? I don't want to do all that work. It's just going to be ready.
No,
it's just going to be the style.
I think it's going to be easy.
Oh, man.
We don't even need to buy a booth. We just get a food truck.
Why did you have to? You got to give it away. You gotta,
sorry.
Don't give
I
it
said
away.
soup. No soup for you. She gave me this look like, what do you mean no soup for me?
Man, she was trying to get everything in the grocery cart. I forgot that I was getting like multiple cases of water, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of hard. So like, she's like grabbing everything, and I'm like, oh, this is miserable.
Did she sit in the grocery cart?
The strawberry bit. Oh, cool.
Did I miss it?
No, she can't sit up like that yet.
Okay.
She'd probably be like headbutting the handle.
I just thought maybe you're like holding her the whole time and pushing the
hands.
stroller.
No. I put her in the car seat in the.
My arms look so weird when I did that. Back to me.
I don't mean to be annoying with Latin names. I get confused myself. I never actually try to say them out loud.
Latin names are super important,
practice.
though.
Yeah.
And you got to practice. And I'll be the first one to admit I am not the brightest when it comes to that. But if you ask any of the people that, started with me like 2-3 years ago, and I just was like, finally, I got to accept that I need to learn. I know a lot more now. When people are talking about Achilles fish, I know a lot of my Achilles. So
Yeah, you're getting better for sure. He knows the Fungulus chrysotis like
and
that. He doesn't
and
forget
the
it. Good.
cingulatus.
Okay. Okay, good.
But I
miss
can't
my
remember what
cingulatus.
the marsh one was.
The marsh killie? Oh, I don't know the
Or
Latin
the
name
golf
of the marsh
killie
killie.
was.
Yeah, neither one of those.
I just read it. I
A
just
Fungulus,
Loris Kent just posted
but I
it.
don't know it.
Yeah, they're all fun.
Johnny said, I got that mom thing where I do something weird like the baby and I just look
I
weird.
thought you were laughing at my joke. Dang it.
No, your jokes are pretty bad. Johnny said, I have back. Sorry. It's the only reason you keep me around is you're trying to make sure that I get your jokes are funny and you're like, I just keep you coming back for more.
Maybe it's
you're
just I have
trying to
more
crack
kids
it.
because Layla definitely laughs at all my jokes. She thinks I am hilarious. And Shelby's like, don't encourage him. And then I'll come up with another zinger. And Shelby's like, stop it.
Johnny says, I have Dr. AE on hand. We'll be adding the help for biofilm startup.
Remember, a wee bit of that goes a long way. You got to just use a small pinch.
Phil says, I wanted to thank you guys. The pintos I got from you are absolutely incredible. I'm glad Grant did a good job on that. I cannot personally catch pintos and send them out because I think every single one of them are just beautiful. So, can't do it.
And
your other package will be going out tomorrow, too.
Did he get the black zebras?
I can't remember now.
And I believe you waited for better weather, and I just want to say thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Money is important, but I think the most important thing is the actual health of the animals.
He said, when he did the talk at the Clash, I had to stay standing for my one DOA. I felt very awkward and alone. Hey, at least you didn't that's the whole point of that, though.
That's
He's
why
doing
when I
that
said
on purpose.
That's why when I mentioned
know.
Stephen P, he was like, "Oh, that guy." No, I'm just kidding. We brought you guys up because we talked about our trip and how I was trying to visit you guys, and I blew that one. And he's like, "Aren't they just the best people?" I was like, "There's very few people that are as great as they are in the hobby." You are too. Don't worry.
Bugsy said, hey guys, I wanted to say thank you. I got my first check from my local fish store for 500 cherry shrimp. Wouldn't have done it without TGOE leading the way. That's so cool. Congratulations.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That is more proof in the pudding right there.
Oh, that's cool.
Lots of
you
pudding
just like
tonight.
Pudding.
Lots of pudding.
I want banana cream pudding now. That sounds so good. I have first batch of babies from the red tidies I got from you a couple months ago. Nice. Yeah. Tidies are so cool.
Back to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So after we left Greg's house, there was a couple things that we wanted to do in Colorado. One of them, biscuit company, failure. We didn't get to do it. The other one was head up into the Rockies. The timing and the weather and everything like that just didn't allow for that. And obviously the whole rental car switch out in the very beginning, that kind of killed our time, and we accepted the Volcano. And I think the Volcano was a great substitute for going into the Rockies. And then we wanted to go to Aqua Rocks, Colorado. And I looked at Shelby and I looked at the time and I was like, we got some time to spare, if we could stop, and it was only 20 minutes out of her way. And she said, okay. And it was the next exit. How perfect could that be? Because we left Greg Sage's, typed in the GPS to go to Lady Diane's. What?
I didn't even talk about this last live stream.
I don't think we made it. I thought we were just talking about the fish that we got and then we bailed. I don't care. I'm telling it again. And got to go to the store, and it was only a 5-minute detour. Couldn't have asked for a better planned out trip, honestly, because we got to go explore the store. I got a nice box of rocks. Shelby got some guppies and a little cat, like the one that she won off of the Fish Fam Link giveaway.
Yeah, so at the Fish Fam Link, the table at the Keystone Clash, I got that cat. It made it through 3 times getting it broken, and then I think I still have it in the drawer, but I'm missing the piece of the paw. So I bought a new one, and it's orange. Like,
Damn ginger.
the only cat that Grant actually likes is our friend Dante's cat named Al, and he looks like Garfield. And I love that cat. And Grant semi likes it. He's tolerable to the cat. So I was like, I'm getting this because it reminds me so much of Al. I hope that Dante sees it the next time he comes over and goes, "That looks like my cat." That's so funny. In my tanks, it's the only reason I even kind of learned getting the Latin is because I fall into the killifish hole, and it's impossible without them. 100%. If you go to a Achilles fish convention and you don't know the Latin name to your Achilles fish, they are going to judge you.
I caught the most Achilles in one net ever today. It's a PR for me. There's at least 30 flagfish in the net. That was
Where are you
on
going?
her. She took a dive.
Where are you going?
I caught her.
Where are you going? Oh, she's not going to sit still when she starts walking. And then they was talking about how we should sell Elasoma, and that people are like jacking up the price. That's because Elasoma, you can't really catch them right now because not only is it like right now we could probably do it, but like over winter, it gets it gets too shallow where they usually are, and so they're out further, and it's too cold for them. So it's hard to catch them.
Water level's perfect today.
Yeah, today, maybe today, but like
I
this
said
entire
I could have caught hundreds
season.
today.
Not hundreds. I guarantee you. Let's go.
Let's
go right now. Let's go. We're gonna have to leave the live stream. No, right now.
We'll take Logan.
Next week you got a whole nother week of warm weather. Right now, we are leaving this live stream.
Perfect. I'm telling you.
Larry D said, getting a whole house filter, no salt style. Is this safe for shrimp? I wouldn't know because I don't know what that is.
An RO filter?
I don't think it's, it's got to be reversed.
A whole house RO filter. So I have no experience on this. I just went based off of what Shelby's grandma told us, where she got a house RO filter and the water out of it did not come out at perfect reverse osmosis 0 TDS water like we need for our aquariums, because that would dehydrate you of all your electrolytes and salts, and you would die drinking RO water. Is basically also what you find when we research if you could do that in a event of a hurricane. And no, I would need to remineralize the water in the holding bin if I wanted to use it during a hurricane. It would not be good. So if your system though takes out the chlorine and all this other stuff, but then leaves back some of the minerals, then you're probably going to have to still add minerals to it for it to be shrimp safe. There's also the water softener that removes all the GH, but leaves behind the carbonate hardness, and that's really bad. You're better off going all the way down to 0 TDS, remove the cage out of there also, and that way you can use minerals and get your perfect mineral content levels that you need.
Dad said I'm going for that.
Yeah, she wants the mic.
She's so funny. Yeah, and probably just testing it would be the best way to know. Stephen P said, "Oh, it's okay. You can talk crap about us." And then Jenna said, "Speak for yourself, Stephen. I'm sensitive."
I don't think there's a bad thing to say about you guys.
It'd actually be hard to find something.
Do you see how big they let their boosts get? That's absolutely outrageous. Those poor boosts. They're overfeeding them. They can't move around. They're in the same place all day, just laying there.
Oh man. Have a good night, vibes. You probably already left. Jenna said Aqua Rocks, Colorado, such a nice store. It really was. It was so clean and nice, and oh my goodness, they had a little sandbox for Myra to play in. That was like the best thing.
And I've been talking to the owner Tommy there for many years now, going back and forth on shrimp and aquascaping supplies and things like that. So he was in a meeting in the back, and I kind of asked the staff. I was like, "Where's Tommy at?" And they're like, "He's in a meeting." And I was like, "Till when?" And they're like, "Till 3." And I'm like, "I gotta get out of here in like 20 minutes." And they're like, "What, do you need him?" I'm like, "No, I don't need him." And they're like, "I can get him." I'm like, if you would just like slide him a note, let him know that Grant from the Garden of Eden is here, and if it makes him want to come out, then he comes out. And he came out and kind of walked us around, showed it off to us. He didn't have to do that. It was a really nice store. It was well worth the trip if you're in the Denver area, let alone it being the next exit. How lucky do we get? Then after that, we didn't get any In-N-Out. Driving through Texas, we were like 2.5 hours away from an In-N-Out when we were starving. So we were not about to go and get any food 2.5 hours away. So we settled for Freddy's. Freddy's? Yeah, and it was bad. And wish we had just drove 2.5 hours to In-N-Out, but we didn't. So we look up In-N-Out. It is the next exit. Like how we blew all of our luck right there, and then went to Lady Diane's. So now this is after the live stream, no matter what, because this is all after Monday. This is now Tuesday. We make it to Lady Diane's. She takes us out to an Indian food restaurant. Very nice. Gina joined us as well. It was really nice to see Lady Diane. She's always got gifts for us. And the craziest thing is we sent out a Christmas card, and we sent it out in December, and it arrived the same day that we did. And we went after Indian food, went to her house to hang out for a little bit, and as she was saying goodbye, she went and got the mail and was like, "Did you just put this in here?" And we're like, "What? What are you talking about?"
The stamp on it and everything.
Yeah, we just put the thing in there, like there's a sticker in there. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, "You could have just handed this to me." I don't know, like, "Yeah, we sent that like months ago." And she's like, "What do you mean you sent it months ago? You didn't just put it in here?" And we're like, "No."
I've been wondering if people haven't like said anything. I was like curious. I think people just it's the mail.
I think our Christmas cards ended up at the bottom of the pile of the lost goods of the Christmas holiday rush. And yeah, keep an eye out. You could still get one of our Christmas cards, I guess.
Merry Christmas for next year. Could you imagine? That'd be so funny. Yeah. And it was not RO, just filtered. In my tank said, would the carbon blocks to remove chlorine take enough minerals out of to be a problem? I have a friend with invert issues. I'm convinced that's part of the problem. Every time we've dealt with a carbon block at the shows, they have been miserable, but we don't know enough about carbon. Wait, is our system got a carbon block now?
So I don't know what a carbon block is exactly. Ours
removes the chlorine.
Is a cartridge, but I don't know what a block exactly is. I've never seen a carbon block product.
We're just not educated enough.
I would never rely on.
They can't even get Isopod.
A non-cartridge carbon product to remove the chlorine, and I would always use some prime or some complete to remove out the chlorine. Carbon's great to like remove poisons and stuff like that, but if you've got a carbon block or a carbon cartridge on your RO unit, then that's more than enough.
Heavy metals, other impurities.
It's more than enough to take out the chlorine, but it doesn't take out the chloramine, I think. I can't remember. So if you don't know your system, it's always safe to just use a little bit of prime.
There's got to be something going on. If they can't get Isopods or Neos going, there's something other than just using a
And-
carbon
and
block.
if they're-
Unless they're doing it straight into the tank and doing like 90% water changes. Because the carbon block, I have noticed when we use carbon blocks on them, on the hoses, and we fill the tanks at the shows, it's when I've like gassed out multiple fish at shows because like
there's no oxygen in it.
it's something to do with the oxygen. It needs to sit for a bit.
But
And like a lot of people at these shows fill up these tanks with a carbon block on the hose, and all the fish are dead the next morning. So it could be the way they're using it.
yeah, the carbon block at the end
might
of the
need to
hose is not a
sit.
carbon cartridge. A carbon cartridge is like what I'm talking, that goes up to an RO unit. And if he has like some type of RO unit or water distiller or softener, then yeah, that you might have too high KH and no GH.
Hello, Brian. Welcome in. Stephen P. said, I definitely overstock my tanks with Boost. It's abuse. That's great. Oh, so Daniel.
You should sell that at the
Velez
Boost plant. Copyright it and then
Yeah.
sell it to Boost plant quick,
Yes.
fast.
Daniel says, you can drink RO water. You cannot drink RO DI water. We've had RO DI systems since the 80s. But drinking water is diverted after the RO, but before the DI. That's good to know.
I don't know about that.
I think
I'll do more research though too before we just.
Rink said, been drinking RO water for years, no ill effects, and got plenty of minerals from all the food you eat.
Okay. I mean, people drink rainwater and there's nothing in that. So I don't know. I just, again, this is all information that I read years past from a hurricane. So
Johnny Beth said, gifted one Garden of Eden membership. Thank you so much,
you
Johnny.
said gifted one member of the Garden.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I don't care. Leave me alone. It's been a long night, okay? I thought our daughter was old enough that I didn't have to worry about her, vomiting everywhere.
It smelled so bad. And I wasn't the only one struggling. It was everybody.
Yeah.
It was everybody.
It was so fun. You can make music out of that. Honestly, it would have been like such a cool, like hardcore
The Jackass theme
scream.
song played in acoustics by
Christmas in July,
the
maybe.
Eater Vomitings. Back to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a nice time seeing Lady Diane. And then that's when everything went south. Literally, we drove south. We went home. But before we got home, just left Tennessee. And, you drive through Tennessee, and who do you not? But you have to be able. I'm sorry. I'm butchering everything I try to say tonight. You can't help but not to think of Chattanooga Ed when you're driving through Tennessee. And especially when you see signs for Chattanooga. And I'm like, man, look at the time. I bet you Ed's got some like ice cream store nearby that we could go join him for some ice cream. And then I was like, no, we got to get home and get home early on Wednesday. So that way we can get all the packages out. And yeah, it didn't go that way. We should have gone to Chattanooga Ed's, gotten ice cream. Maybe we wouldn't have gotten a flat tire, but it was about 2:00 in the morning. Just got into Georgia from Tennessee, and because in the beginning of the trip, Shelby got a window blown out, and it sounded to me like a flat tire because the windows, when you roll them down, it goes. Well, that's the same noise pretty much that the spare tire makes. That's the spare tire, flat tire. I'm butchering everything. And so I'm driving down the road. It's pouring down with rain. And I hear, and I go, oh my God, we lost another window. And I'm looking around. I'm trying to figure out what window shattered. And I was like, oh no, that's not a window. That's probably a flat tire. I make it all the way over to the shoulder, take a look, and yeah, it's a flat tire. There's also a hole in the sidewall. And we had to call for AAA because there was no tire iron. There was no crank for the jack to even change the tire. And then there was no room in the rental car for a full-size tire because the spare tire is smaller. And then they told us that we could only go 50 miles an hour for 50 miles on the spare. So we did not get very far in Georgia and had to wait 6 hours for Enterprise. Don't eat her hands like that. We had to wait 6 hours for Enterprise to open up, and then we had to wait like an hour and a half for them to get a rental car that was suitable for us to make it home because that's what happened. You ate her fingers. Give them back. But yeah, oh man, we didn't get back into Florida until way later on Wednesday. We weren't able to get anyone's packages out on Wednesday. I did send out some of the Florida packages on Thursday. And then we had Dan's Fish come on Friday. And we had a club meeting where he spoke at. So I wasn't able to ship out anything Saturday. So Shelby was able to get majority of all the packages that have been waiting a while out today. She sent a bunch of extras and a couple of goodies from Crayfish Empire thrown in there as well. It's pretty much my first time really hanging out and chatting with Dan. I talked with him maybe for 5 minutes at the Keystone Lash, and I didn't even really talk to him at the Triple Crown. So picked him up from the airport. We went out to dinner, dropped him off on Friday night at his hotel, picked him up Saturday for his talk, and then brought him over to the house. Got to see all of the aquariums. We went out to Hot Pot, came back to the house. He got to film everything inside. Before Hot Pot, we filmed everything out back. The sun was still up. And really got him a lot of shrimp. He's a big fan of Sulawesi shrimp. That's some of the shrimp that he keeps at his store. So he really enjoyed seeing our setups and checking out the varieties that we had. He's also got some types that we don't have and some rabbit snails. And he wanted to send me some of the Cardinal Sulawesi shrimp and, found out that he's got this, and this. I'm like, well, I'm probably going to put in an order on top of that. And you can just throw the shrimp in for me. So looking forward to that. I'll probably wait for things to warm up just a little bit before I risk buying any of the Sulawesi shrimp. It's just a little bit too cold, especially where he lives. He's going home to snow on the ground today. And we were collecting today in shorts and short sleeve t-shirts. So on Sunday, I took him up to LRB's. You might have saw the live stream where the three of us went on briefly for 30 minutes. We were on a time schedule. I kind of had to be back on Sunday for the kids to get to bed so they can get to school on Monday. And we also, after Lucas's house, we went to Robert from Ray Aquatic's house and basically spent an hour and a half there. And at Lucas's house, I pretty much just nerded out and geeked out and walked around and checked out all of his tanks for an hour. I walked around and stayed out of their way so that way they can kind of enjoy things and Dan could take things in and get the first glimpse of things before I scared away all the fish for him to see. So I went around the ponds, found some rice fish that Lucas has that are really, really nice, cool to look from up top down view, and gonna have to get some of those when they become available. Found some of the clover aquatic plant that he had growing in just sugar sand, which I found pretty impressive. I talked about that on the live stream. But then after about an hour, I was like, hey guys, now you got about an hour, you guys should film. They were debating on whether or not to do a live stream or to film a video for Dan's channel. They ended up deciding to film the video for Dan's channel, and were somehow able to knock it out in 30 minutes. and they were like packing up and getting ready to go. And I was like, hey guys, like, you guys are both talkers. I'm a talker. It happens, right? You can lose track of time really quickly around those guys. And I was like, listen, I'm looking at the time, setting timers for you guys so we can stay on schedule. I also had Layla being watched at one of her friend's house, or hanging out there for the day, because we don't have room in our van or our car. It's not a van. We rented a van, had to return that. We don't have room in our car though for all 5 of us and Dan. So Layla went to her friend's house. Jaden went with us so he can hang out with Wesley. We went over to Lucas's house, but yeah, it was a time sensitive thing. And I was like, hey, we got 30 minutes. We can still do a live stream if you guys hurry over to the house where Lucas has better Wi-Fi. It's a little like 100-yard walk from the fish barn to his house. And we got set up real quick, did the live stream, and then headed over to Robert's house where they pretty much did like the same thing. Did it like an hour geeking out, checking out all the fish, seeing how Robert does all of his breeding and his water changes. Robert has like a pretty similar water change setup to Greg Sage when it comes to draining the system. But filling it up, Robert does it a little bit different. He's got like 100-foot hose on like a reel, and he can drag that throughout the house. It's also coming out of one of the taps, so he can temperature control it to hot or cold. So it goes through the furnace, and it's a really nice way to do his water changes. And then on Monday, which is today, he wanted to go collecting, and I was like, well, what do you want to catch? He said, some swamp darters, some flagfish, some mollies, Fungulus chrysotis, and leaskillies, and he named like some elosoma and a couple of other invasive species. And I was like, listen, elosoma are a little bit harder to catch. There's a possibility we get some, but for the most part, my area is to go get them. You got to get in like 3 to 4 foot of water. You got to have frog togs. It's just kind of an effort to get out there. There's a chance that you can get soaking wet, and then you don't have a hotel room to go back to. So we stuck to more of the inshore dip netting, and was able to get a bunch of leaskillies, a couple swamp darters, a couple of the Fungulus chrysotis, the golden top minnows that he wanted to get, loads of flagfish. Like I said earlier, I caught the most flagfish in one dip net that I've ever caught before. I caught one really sad, pathetic molly. It looked like he had been getting beat up in the pond for a while. And then I caught one of the Dimeris. It's like a black acara. It is a invasive species. We had to travel to Pasco County for that one. We don't have anything really invasive here. And Dan was really excited for that. He was really excited for the one of the male Fungulus that I caught. Stunning color. I took him to a specific lake, and I was like, this lake has like the nicest male Fungulus chrysotis I've ever seen, we've ever caught anywhere else. There's also some sundrews, some Xyrus and Eros there, so I took him there. He was like probably one of the only people that I've taken out to that location to show him the plants, and he liked the sundrews more than the Eros and the Xyrus. So that was pretty funny. And then we took a trip because we found out that there's one of my club members, Analog. He has a pet store in St. Pete, and I always just assumed it was like 2 hours away because most of the stuff we do in St. Pete is 2 hours from my house. The airport's an hour, so I was like, that's an hour away. But then, I was just trying to find a backup thing for Dan to do on Monday because it was Saturday still, and the forecast for Monday didn't look too good. And it did rain on us a little bit today, but we kind of ran to the car, sat in there for like 5 minutes, and then things went back to normal, and we were able to go back to fishing again. But we went to his pet store, or fish store, I should say, Aquatic Gallery. It's like an Aquascape Nano store. It was incredible. It was really really nice. I wasn't expecting it to be uh, that nice and have that much different things. Dan wasn't expecting to film that day and ended up running out to the car and grabbing the camera because he was really doing a lot of like nice nanofish, bettas. There's some shrimp. There was a pistos and crayfish. Lots of bettas, some killies, some axolotls, and walking through the store, I kind of got like this caught my eye, so I walked this way, and it was an Aquascape dojo. So he's got like an area there with like these wooden kind of frame tanks. There's no glass to them; it's just the frame, but it's like the layout for you to kind of build an aquascape, and it makes it really easy to kind of piece things up and make your tank that way. And he had like a little area to do that, so you could get all of the rock you want, all the wood you want, put it together, and have like a little mock-up before you buy it. So that was cool. He had like a little lounge with a really nice couch with a couple of nice display tanks. There was even like a bunch of tea there, and it gave me that like whole vibe of like one of those cafes where you might just buy a drink and you're able to just sit there and relax and enjoy all those really nice, beautiful aquascapes and stuff like that. So he even had like Dan called it the nerd room, and I totally missed it at first. I just thought I walked in and there's this one little doorway or whatever, and it didn't look like it was inviting, like people were meant to go in there. I just assumed it was like an office, and I don't think most people are allowed back in there, but me and Dan were allowed, and that was his breeding area, and that's where we got to see a lot of the apistos. He had a lot of acara, a lot of axolotls, bettas, crawfish, and different things that he's breeding in the back there, that he raises and grows out for the store. And I have a lot of respect for that. I'm sure some of you have heard us talk about it, where me and Shelby had a dream where we do the farm to table thing, where we kind of bred everything in the back of the warehouse, and they had like a storefront in the front where we sold everything that we bred and raised ourselves, right? But the overhead and cost of doing something like that, I don't think it's worth it when you can do it online, and shipping and online sales, and that it's just so much easier and more effective and cost effective for sure. So all right, try to catch up in chat here. That was the rest of my notes. I just ran through them. I do have two more things that I can dabble about, but it's not the best, not the most important. Is it okay to buy a secondhand RO DI unit, or is it best to buy brand new? And which unit would you recommend for an apartment? Please and thank you kindly. So the actual housing for RO units is going to be the same for almost all units. If you have a 4-stage and a 5-stage or beyond that, pretty much all you're going to need to do is replace the filters. The problem is when you're buying a brand new unit, you're going to want to replace all of the filters. So you got to ask yourself, is the cost of what they're charging the unit plus to replace all brand new filters still cheaper than the cheapest price that you can get that filter or the equivalent brand new? And in most cases, I find you can buy the filter brand new with less hassle and not having to deal with cleaning up somebody else's old filter or dealing with whatever mock setup that they had made. You can get exactly what you want, right? And BRS has some great units. They're kind of like the gold standard in the hobby. We use Aqua FX. Jeremy's a great guy, great customer service. As long as he's not on vacation. I did have an issue where I recommended him to somebody, and he was on a 2-week vacation to the Bahamas or the Caribbean, somewhere down there, and was unable to get his employee to answer the person ideally for the shrimp questions that he was asking, right? And beyond that, though, Jeremy has been great, helped me out a lot. The prices are very fair. He's got some of the cheaper options like an RO Buddy and stuff like that too. But again, if you're buying an RO Buddy, there's other outlets out there. You just go for the cheapest one. They're all going to be the same. RO Buddies are like a little 4-stage unit, and they're great if you don't have very high TDS out the tap. If you don't know what the TDS is out of your tap water, I would recommend getting a TDS pen first, checking that. If it's like under 120, an RO Buddy is probably going to be good enough for you. If it's over that, you might want to think about upgrading to like a 5-stage and get your water a little bit more pristine. I promise you the crap in your water is more harmful than drinking RO water unless you're already mineral deficient. Yeah, I mean, probably. Still here, been listening while catching shrimp and such. Very nice. Glad to see it here, Scotty. Why would a blue bolt turn white? It's because they're moody. They do this all the time. It's not uncommon. All I got from you are looking great, except for 2. One only has a specific a speck of blue on the head, and the rest is white. The other is about 50-50. Yeah, I mean, that one with a speck of blue on its head could be stressed out. It could just be the time of the month, man, and they just look whiter that time and come back in a week later and it could be jet blue again. It's just they're very moody and change their colors all the time. Shelby, it's my second new membership for Jason. Tell Grant to to leave alone because without you, he's really struggling. Yeah, she's gone again, man. Here I am struggling. She shouldn't have had such tasty fingers. Oh man, I'm behind. I gotta catch up. I'll be nice. Am I mean? All 3 of you. Yeah, I really admire Dan's setup, and it's really cool to see Lucas's setup evolve over the few years, and getting lucky enough to live close enough to him now to see all that happen. Yeah, Lucas has got a lot of the rice fish. I was gonna get a bunch of rice fish because Layla liked them, and then Lucas got a bunch of them, and I was like, you know what? I'll let Lucas do the rice fish, and as he produces some nice ones, I'll just fill out the tubs with mosquito control for him. Oh, welcome, Jason. I'm sorry. Is that what you're waiting for, Johnny? Anybody have any questions? I think I might catch up here in a minute. Hello, Jody. Have a good night. I think it's time for us to go to bed too. I'm pretty well beat. Well, you're welcome. And if you ever have any other questions, need any more help, always feel free to reach out to us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com. If I don't get back to you in time and it is an emergency, you can also reach out to me on Facebook at Grant Eater or the Garden of Eater. I kind of get those alerts a little bit more frequently. And what is that for? I'm getting alerts for flights to Denver. I think it's like left over from Dan's trip. But yeah, you guys are always welcome to reach out. Facebook is what's going to get you in touch with me the fastest. All right, so an hour and 30 in. I got 2 more topics to talk about. the ditch or the retention pond down at the end of the road. It used to be, I don't know, the size of a child's kickball field, right? Or child's youth baseball field. Yeah, that's a good explanation for it. And it had woods all the way around it, and they weren't thick. There's not a ton of woods, but there was, a good house worth plot of land in between the ditch and the next house, and they just recently cleared it all out and expanded the ditch and made it basically the size of an adult baseball field. So it's like 4 times the size. All the woods are gone. And I'm sure those woods were housing some critters like a raccoon or a possum or two. I think in Florida we have like a mink or a weasel. I can't remember exactly what it's called. I mean, I know we have something like that because they were doing some sort of research up at Beaufort Springs when we were there one time on them. And I'm not sure, like, that's only 15 minutes away. I don't know how much their habitat really expands. If maybe there's some of those in that ditch and they dried up the ditch and they're, able to find shelter and habitat in our backyard because there's a bunch of ponds, there's a bunch of tubs, and it kind of probably smells fishier than anybody else's backyard, right? So I'm I definitely know something's been getting into the koi pond. I lost like 4 medium-sized koi. I lost one of the biggest ones while Dan was here, sadly. And yeah, Shelby saw a hawk on the side. Maybe it's a hawk, just picking it out. It is, they're eating the eyes and going for the guts first. So I did a massive water change on the pool. I filled it up a little bit higher. Maybe with the increased clarity, they're able to see predators coming from farther away and they can stay a little bit further away from them. It's also kind of like breeding season, and I think whatever was picking them off was taking advantage of them while they were kind of spawning and not really paying attention to what was sniping them from above. The dogs are also getting a little bit older. Shrimp's not so much stuck in puppy mode as I thought he was just going to forever be stuck in puppy mode. Yeah, he's getting a little bit lazy. I don't think he's chasing things off nearly as fast as he was. And sadly lost 5 koi. 2 of them I know, like the kids are named, and it kind of sucks. So haven't lost any koi the last 2 days. So hopefully doing the large water change and clearing up the water clarity helped out. But yeah, that's a bummer. All right, so I saw some things going on now. Do you have any native killies for sale? No. Once upon a time, we were going to set up a rack and start doing that and, getting everything together. But I just don't have any time to go collecting anymore. So the quarantine rack that I set up pretty much went stale for a whole year and didn't get used for anything other than holding Anubis and separating Shelby's bettas and holding on to her G'dayas. That's about it. Zen can be bought for the low price of 420 shell. You get Grant's personal number. 420 is a respectable price. That's the same price that I sell Lucas Brett's hotel room number to, also at the clubs. If you guys didn't know that, if we go to the same show together, that's the price to find out where his room is every time, guaranteed. No, that's a running joke since the Triple Crown. There's like some elderly lady, and she had like a little crush going on with Lucas, and you can see she was just shy and didn't want to even like go up and get a handshake or a picture or nothing. And I was like, for $400, I'll sell you his hotel room number and everything. And she blushed. She got real cheeky, and it's like, oh no, I can't be doing that. It was funny. But so I actually have a little something to leave you guys on. I am gonna call it a night. I'm all caught up. I don't see any other questions. If I didn't miss any, now's your time. Type wait if the question's long, and I'll wait for your question. But we have a new variety of shrimp coming. I don't already have these. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't have a colony of them going. It's been something I wanted to work on for a while. I honestly don't have the time to start from scratch. I'll do it one day for sure. But for now, somebody else offered me some, and yeah, you've officially got 30 seconds, Eric. And so somebody offered them to me. It's a good friend of mine. I've gotten quite a few groups of shrimp, including the Ocean Blues off of him, my Black Rose, and I know they come from a good, reliable source. So I am getting a new type of shrimp. So we are going to go ahead and offer a $25 gift card to whoever can guess the new type of shrimp, and or old new type of shrimp, but the colony of shrimp that we have on the way. Whoever gets that will get a $25 gift card. Just comment in the actual video itself, not on the live stream, and first person will get that $25 gift card. And Eric said, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? A woodchuck could chuck all the wood if a woodchuck could chuck wood. So I'm from Hawaii, and we say, how much papaya could a papaya picker pick if a papaya picker had a papaya picker? So answer that one for me in person, Eric, the next time I see you. That is the challenge I have for you. All right, guys. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. I'll have like a dedicated stream. I'll be more awake. And yeah, thank you guys for sticking with us. Have a good one.